Hello everyone, so welcome to Property One. Today we will be discussing an important topic, the Telangana Land Regularization Scheme. We'll discuss the government orders GO number 131 and 135 and their impact and the latest controversy regarding the excess payments. If you or someone you know has applied for LRS, so this video is for you. Let's talk about the introduction to LRS. The Land Regularization Scheme was introduced by Telangana government to regularize unauthorized plots and layouts. So what is the objective for this is to promote planned and sustainable development in both urban and rural areas through approved layouts. The scheme helps property owners to get clear title deeds, enabling them to sell, construct, or mortgage their properties without legal complications. So, what are the issues identified? So, many of these unapproved and illegal layouts that are existing are lacking proper infrastructure, and these layouts are actually burdening the local bodies and causing inconvenience to the property owners. So, these unplanned subdivisions disrupt the actual planned development and hinder the essential services. So, the government has come up with an action plan to ban on registration of these plots in unapproved or illegal layouts, and also introduction of these regularization rules to integrate unauthorized layouts into a planned development, and also to ensure basic infrastructure and the better living conditions for plot owners and the surrounding areas. So in order to implement this, the government has come up with the rules for regularizations which will apply to both rural and urban areas, and they have issued a notification that was published in the Telangana Gazette on 31st of August 2020. Let's break down the GO number 131 and 135. If you see on the left hand side, there is the GO 131, and on the right hand side you see the GO 135, and this was issued on 31st of August 2020. So it talks about the order and the notification, and how is it applicable based on the different rule sets, and then they have given definitions on each of these subjects, and they also talked about the cutoff date uh, for considering the regularization of unapproved layouts, which was 26th of August 2020. And there are information about the restrictions on approval in the vicinity of the certain areas. Okay, and so they also talked about the application, the compulsory application for regularization. So this needs to be applied on or before 15th of October 2020, and they have talked about the registration fees for individual property owners as 1000 fee, and for layout developers as 10,000 per entire layout. And yeah, so they also talked about the payment of regularization charges and the pro rata open space charges. Okay, so they came up with the table of basic regularization charges, so which is based on the square meters. So if it is less than 100 square meters, then they charge 200 per square meter as a basic regularization charge. So we can go into an example and deep dive into this at a later section. So, and they have also talked about the table 2, which is regularization charges with reference to the land value. Okay, so this is basically based on the market value of the land as on 26/08/2020. So basically they have simplified the process where if your land is less than 3000 square yards, then you have to apply 25% of the regularization charges. So likewise to other extents of the land, which has mentioned here, uh, which, which is within the GO 131. And so they talked about how they are going to do the scrutiny, and how are they going to approve so based on the competent authority. and the norms to be insisted for regularization on unapproved layouts, and what happens if there is a failure to come forward in terms of regularizing your unapproved layouts. So they're saying that they won't issue the water supply connections, like there are other drainage connections and sewerage would be, they won't be extending these services, basic services basically. So and so they're also saying that no sale or disposal or transaction shall be allowed on such sites by the registration department, and no building approval shall be considered by the building sanctioning authority in such unapproved layouts. And what are they going to do with this LRS amount? That's an interesting bit. The LRS amount collected shall be kept in separate escrow account, and the separate guidelines shall be issued by the government on utilization of LRS amount for the development of infrastructure and respective local bodies. Actually, this is a good initiative by the government. Okay, and if there is anything to appeal, you need to just follow these rules and the guidelines, and then try and appeal for any issue that you might be facing. And yeah, so this is about the geo number 131, and so geo number 135. So basically they had to amend this geo 131 after the public feedback. So because of the the charges being high in terms of regularization charges, which is a basic regularization charges. So if you see the table on the left hand side, right, so you see that up to 3000 square yards, initially they we're charging about 25%, and now in the geo 135 they have reduced it by 20%. So likewise you'll see different bands where they have reduced the rates. So this is basically to address the concerns raised by the property owners regarding the costs and the processes. So the government has agreed to it, and then they have come up with amendments to it. And they also talked about there won't be any nala charges with respect to this. So yeah, so it's pretty straightforward to it. Okay, so I hope so you're clear with the geos 131 and 135. So let's talk about the recent issues on the excess payments. Despite the government efforts, many LRS applicants are now facing an unexpected problems on the excess payments. Here's what happened. So due to miscalculations or system errors, many applicants were charged more than the required amount. The issue was discovered when the property owners cross-checked their payments against the revised LRS fee structures and the market values when they have purchased. The major factor contributing to this was the market values, particularly for the 14% open plot charges. Should have been calculated based on the date of purchase. However, the actual market value was much higher, leading to inflated regularization charges. As a result, many plot owners paid higher charges without verifying the actual market values, and now they are seeking refunds. Let's go through an example on how all these regularization charges are calculated. So, for example, you see the table one. So, like the basic regularization charges, which says the plot area in square meters. If it is less than 100 square meters, then you need to pay about 200 per square meter as a basic regularization charges. So likewise, so there are other extents from 101 to 300, which is 400 rupees per square meter. So yeah, so likewise there are other slabs in here. So for example, if you wanted to convert a square yard into square meters, so this is this. For example, you have 100 square yards, then it's going to be 83.61 square meters. So you could use this to calculate the actual amount for regularization charges, which is 83 into 200 in this case, basically. And if you see the second table, right, so this is the regularization charges with reference to the land value as per the geo number 135. So you remember the in the earlier section we talked about geo 131 and 135. So these are the reduced charges um, for the the based on the land values. So for example, so if your land value, so just make sure that this is calculated based on square yards, and the market value for this is based on the 26th of August 2020. So it is calculated based on this date. So this is only for the regularization charges, right? So if the land value is below 3000 square yards, then they're going to charge 20% of the basic charges. Okay, so this is based on the 20%. So you might get an overall amount to this, and they are going to charge 20% of this. You can look into an example at a later section here. So basically you need to follow this formula. So you have a regularization charges formula basically. So it is based on the plot area in square meters. So we have just seen that. So this is based on the square meters. So you need to calculate your extent of the land in square meters and multiply it by regularization charges in square meters as per the table 1. So you need to use you know the 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 charges based on which slab you fall under, and then you need to multiply again by the percentage of market value in the square yards as per the table 2. So majority of them would fall into the below 3000 square yards. So you would need to use 20% of the the value of the regularization charges, the basic charges basically. So yeah, and for example, right, so to calculate the basic charges, so let's say you have 100 square yards, so this is converting into 83.61 square meters. And then based on the table above, so you'd have so the charges would be 200 rupees per square meter. And then out of this, so you have a market value of the square yards, so to be applied, which is below 3000, which is 20%. I'm assuming in all of them as below 3000, and then keeping it as 20% here. So if it is more than 3000, you need to increase this amount based on the slab above. So if you see the actual regularization charges, right? So this is calculating, multiplying this square meters. So for example, for the 100 square yards, it's 83.613, and which multiplies into 200, and then it would get the 20% of it. So which would be about 3,344 for the actual, the basic regularization charges. And out of this, the government are giving you a 25% rebate, so which would minus 836 out of this, and you'd be end up paying, so 2,508. So this is the actual amount that you need to pay, so which is 2,508 rupees. So what is the 14% open space charges, right? So basically you need to pay, there is an option where you could only pay the regularization charges, or the 14 and the 14% open space charges. So you need to choose either you just pay regularization charges, or including both 14% open charges plus the regularization charges. So in order to calculate the 14% open space charges, so the formula used is to calculate the plot area into square yards. So basically you need to get your extent in square yards, and then multiply the value of the market value in the square yards as on the date of purchase. So how we can identify this, you need to open up your sale deed or partition deed or any deed that you have for this, and then look at the actual purchase price of the property within that document. And within that, most of the documents you'd have market value against it. If it is not available, then you might have the full purchase price. You just need to divide the full purchase price by the number of square yards you have, and that would give you the market value on that date. So in most of the documents, you'd find the market value in square yards on the date of purchase. You could use that as part of the value, and then apply a 14% to it as an open space charges. So if you see this example, you have the square yards has 100 square yards, for example. So the market value as on date of purchase. So I'm assuming that the market value is 3,000. So in your specific case, it could differ based on the market value on your date of purchase. So the most of the issues the public are facing on this. So yeah, so just make sure you're applying the current market value in terms of obtaining the right, the value of your 14% open space charges. So for example, so 100 into 300, so that would give you the actual charges, and then you need to apply the 14% on top of it. So actually, so for this 14%, you would get about 4,200 as the actual open space charges, and then the government are giving you a 25% rebate until so end of this month. And then the final charges that comes up for the open space charges is 3,150. So individual cases would differ in these values. Just make sure that you are applying the correct market values as on date of purchase to get you the right values for the charges that you need to pay. So, and it comes to the total charges, right? So the total charges includes the basic charges after rebate and 14% open space charges after the rebate. And then, so this total charges are combined together, and then they are, minusing the 1,000 rupees that you have paid for the initial application that you have made. So for example, you have 100 square yards, so out of which you have regularization charges after rebate is 2,508, and then the open space charges, which is 14% of it, which comes to 3,150. So if you combine both of them, you get a value of 5,658, and then minusing 1,000, which is the initial payment that you have made, which comes up to 4,658. So I hope so you understood how these calculations are made. So just go through this Excel to identify what are the actual charges that you need to pay. Okay, so let's talk about how to get a refund, or how do you raise your grievances to the various departments in terms of getting your refunds in the next section. Okay, so let's talk about what should the LRS applicants do in terms of excess payments. So okay, so if you have applied for LRS and suspect an excess payment, here's what you should do. So check your LRS payment details on official website and compare your charges with the latest guidelines as per GO 135, and also you can use the Excel calculator that would be tied within the description of this video. And if you are overcharged, then file a complaint with the relevant municipal office or the Gram Panchayat office. So just try to reach them, and then they would tell you the steps in terms of getting a refund. And if the things doesn't go as planned, you can follow up through the RTI or the grievance portals if your complaint is not addressed. Okay, so here are my final thoughts and the call of action. So the Telangana LRS is a crucial scheme that benefits thousands of property owners, but challenges like this needs to be addressed. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also, comment below with your LRS experience. Let's spread an awareness and ensure transparency in the process. Okay, thank you very much.